this is Ben, and as you can see, starting to map out a little part of trail. And what it is my home woods. We have about 6 acres here in northern Wisconsin, and I'll show you in other videos, but last summer and fall I was out on the other side of the property making a bunch of trails through the woods, and my goal is to get, I think I can fit 1.5 or 2 miles of trails that kind of snake through and wind back and forth all over our property. We have some woods with some pretty good terrain, so I have some challenges and some good opportunities with the terrain and the hills. And you can see here, this is kind of right along our house and the garage. But my whole point with this is that I want to try to do something a little bit different in terms of doing a trail building series. I don't know what I'm doing. Actually, I have zero idea other than the experience I had last fall, so it's all hands-on, just figuring things out and see what works and see what doesn't. Obviously, there's some things that definitely do work and some things that definitely don't. I'm not following the IMBA handbook, and I'm not following any other things. I'm just going at it with some things that I know and some things that I learned. So that was the whole point, is just to learn from doing it. So what I'm doing today is first day out in the woods this spring. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but there's still snow in the woods. The other side of the woods is still frozen. This ground is exposed to the sun, so I can get started on this section. But I'm out here, got my rubber boots on. Those are actually not even so much for mud, but it seems to help ticks from getting latched onto your pants, so I wear those a lot. And yeah, just flagging this section of trail. This is really going to be, probably one of the more difficult parts of the section, or the trail, because it's going to just be this bench cut along. You can kind of see it's already has a little edge here, but pretty steep coming down from here. And I want to use as much as I can, much of the terrain as I can, and I don't have much to the garage. It's steep enough. What I'm going to do is cut along here and wind back through the thing, kind of the edge of the woods over that way, and see what I can do. But yeah, so that's the whole point of that. This series, or whatever you want to call it, is to just bring it along, kind of show you a little update here and there of what's going on. And if you have any questions or whatever, I mean, you can always email me and Ben at mountainbikeradio.com. I know not everyone has the opportunity to do this kind of thing on their land, but I do know that quite a few do, and have maybe been thinking about it, or you know, just looking for some helpful tips or tricks or whatever it is, or just following along as somebody stumbles through their journey to make some single track on their own land. But so that is it. I'm going to walk up this way, do some more flagging, and probably start digging a little bit today. What I have learned with that is you can flag, start digging, and as you're digging and looking at it and looking at the terrain, you can change course a little here or there. I'm not set to, it's not like I'm out on some public land where I'm set to some person's approved trail, so I can go with the terrain and just do whatever the hell I want. And that's usually what happens. They start digging one way, and realize that, you know, if I just do a little bit wider turn, or a little bit sharper turn, or whatever it may be, that it just kind of go with the flow, and it seems to work out. That's it. I'm gonna go that way and do some more flagging and get digging. Right here, what I have going on is I'm going to turn you around here first of all, just to explain. But here what I'm doing is I have an open patch coming up from the other section, and we have up that hill, our land kind of extends up to that hill. There's a point where it crosses, so it comes to a triangle up there. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be building trails up the edge of our property, up towards that point, and be curving it around to our other property line back over this little hill. That's a further trail, but closer to here is what I'm working on right now, and I'm going to be bringing it right up here, right in this little area, and I'm going to be coming back down this way. And what I am going to do, because what I like is twisty, tight trails generally, and I don't have much land, so I'm trying to fit in a lot of different things into a small area. I am going to be going down through this open area around that white pine tree, and there's a big oak tree right over there. I'm going to wind back around that and then head over along that edge. My goal being with a lot of this is try to keep it fun and twisty without doing a lot of trying to keep some sections as flat as possible. This corner right here I'll see, because it kind of, once it gets around that oak tree, it goes up a little bit that way. So I'm trying to build these trails with me in mind, as well as my kids in a few years in mind. So for little kids, be trying to climb straight up hills that, towards that way or something. What I'm trying to do is trying to keep it even. I could cut through, I don't know if you see right here, there's an old wood stove from the previous owners that's laying on the ground that I'm going to be using at some point. I could go straight through these trees and over that way, kind of contemplating that, but I'd like to use more terrain and a little bit more of our land, because I think what I'm going to do is ditch another trail off that way back into our grass. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm going to start digging right here and wind myself around that way and see how that goes. What I use primarily that I found works really well is this rogue hole. I think it's 6 or 7 inches wide. You can see right there, it's pretty beat up. I used it a ton last year, and I like to keep it simple. And for this, I'm not dealing with a ton of rocks. Generally, it's actually pretty easy in the woods to dig, but this does a really good job because I can rip through ground really easily. It rips up and cuts through roots really easily. I do have to sharpen a little bit. You can see it's pretty worn out, but it has these nice sharpened edges as well, so that works out really well. But it moves a lot of dirt really quickly. It's easy to use, and it's been really durable. Like, it's fantastic. So, yep. So there's a rogue hole, 6 or 7 inch. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 7. But yeah, that's what I use pretty much at this point for all this terrain around here. That's it for today. I forgot to mention, I do have, in addition to this rogue hole, I do use a McLeod. As you can see, this breaking up the surface, tearing off the surface, it gets kind of chunky. So what I do after I'm done is I kick through some stuff, and then I get the McLeod out here with the rake end of things and the flat end of things, and kind of scrape it out, and then pack it down. And but hand building for things here, between walking and packing it down with the McLeod and then riding on it, seems to do a trick. But you can see I only had about an hour today to do this, so I've just busted out this little beginner section right in here, and it's looking good. There's a few frozen sections actually yet. There's ice right down in here, some ice chunks over there, but otherwise it's pretty good. So I will continue on around this bend, around this white pine tree, and it kind of heads back. I don't know if you can see the orange flags on there, but I'll curve around this tree and up straight through over there on the other side of that oak tree, and that's it. So that is all she wrote for today.